Hello, I'm Ophelia.
And I'm Matthew.
Welcome to Art Mood. We're doing this art channel to share the joy of art, which can be historical, contemporary, paintings, sculptures, or even photography. We'd like to hear from you, so join us or leave us a message if you like what we do. And today we'll continue with Philip Guston. We'll be looking at some of his works. And so Matthew, it's been the week last we missed last week. So can you remind us or refresh us some memories about Guston, who he is, and what kind of style does he?
Okay. Well, he was born in 1913 in Quebec. Um, he pioneered neo-expressionism, which is just very and violent lines, very striking colors. Often his work tackles deep topics like fascism or racism. The last session we had, we discussed his Klansman work. Yeah,
Right.
very controversial.
So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, what paintings do we have today?
Ah, yes. We'll be looking at some of his shoes paintings, and
Right.
yeah, we'll make a few comparisons here and there. So, oh, just a moment. That's the man himself. Um, I actually like using a picture of him when he was 16.
Oh, yeah, it
Yeah,
looks very colorful.
yeah, very cool. So
So,
let's look at the first slide. Okay. So this is in Guston's paintings, right?
these are Van Gogh paintings.
Yes.
Yeah, so the reason is so we begin by looking at Van Gogh's shoe paintings. So shoes demonstrate the life, hobby, habits of people. And while living in Paris from 1886 to 1888, Van Gogh found a pair of worn-out shoes in a flea market. And he imagined there were different stories. One is that he wore the worn-out shoes and walked around Paris, in a sense quite similar to Guston's Klansman, depicting himself under the patchwork hood and trying to understand the evil or enemy within himself. And well, here I would also like to quote from The Art of War, Sun Tzu. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles.
Hmm.
So this is kind of like the mentality, I think, to understand oneself and understand what's inside yourself, right? The enemy within. But I think Van Gogh's shoes is more about hardship and experience of life. And he chose to depict the exhausted leather, the untied shoelaces, and here we see the battered soles, the distorted shape. And they just demonstrate the end of the day, and finally, the owner of the shoes can remove them and rest his tired feet. But these are still life, nevertheless, they're as powerful as portraits. What do you think, Matthew?
I do like the different lighting he uses for each piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially the yellows. It
Mm,
it's kind of a sad color to use. It's not necessarily to show the shoes in a positive tone, in a positive light. It shows kind of poverty and a bit of depression. During this time, he did write to his brother saying that he lamented his life choices. He wishes he was richer and younger and
mm,
smarter. Um, as you know, he was a struggling artist, and it was starting to show. It was starting to show that he was just really fed up with doing that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Very discouraged, right? Like by what was going on in his own life, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
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 But yeah, so when we look at Guston's, So Guston didn't only paint shoes, but he also painted like legs and carpets and interior. So this one here is renowned painting, which was just auctioned at the Sotheby's on the 15th of November. Came from the Matt Close collection, and here's depicting shoes or legs, right, with shoes. I
Yes.
don't know how many pairs there are,
Mm.
like laying down on a carpet, small carpet, and with this green light bulb
Mm.
in a dark room.
Yes.
What do you think of this painting, Matthew?
Well, I found it interesting that you can only really see the soles of the shoes. You can't see the entirety of the shoes.
Mm,
Um, Also, the light bulb only illuminates the legs and the floor, but nothing else. I thought that was an interesting choice.
so he wants to highlight the shoes, right?
Yeah,
Or highlight that part of the body.
yeah.
So how did Guston came up with like shoes and this sort of composition?
Um, if I remember correctly, around this time, he had this mentality of getting rid of art. Um,
Right.
he wanted to just focus on minor things at the time that were around him, like
Mm,
furniture and the like. And
mm,
he saw his shoes just splayed about, and he thought that would make a very interesting piece.
mm.
Mm. Um, there might have been something deeper to this particular one. At least there is in a number of his other paintings.
Mm.
This particular piece, I'm not 100% sure. I I can see that maybe in the later slides, those ones have a more dark, um, um, well, it's more darker at the origin. This
Shall we
one,
look at that?
yeah, yeah. So
Or the that like this is like just a pair of shoes, right? And then I think in some of his paintings there's like piles of shoes.
yes,
And well, we talked about how Guston was an immigrant, a Jewish immigrant who escaped to America, right, from Russia.
mm,
And he also depicted these boots and shoes because of the World War II.
mm,
So the, these kind of shoe paintings are mostly in a claustrophobic space, and then with many of them piled up. And that was a reference to the genocide in World War II.
that's right.
Yeah, so in World War II, there was a shortage of leather in Germany, and in order to obtain a supply for the people, shoes were removed from the victims. And then at the end of World War II, 40,000 pairs of shoes were found in concentration camps. So Guston's kind of referenced that and then painted these shoes, legs, and ruin paintings. So
Mm,
this is like historical background. He never really said clearly what they're about. But given that his family escaped to America from Russia, it seems like plausible that there's this experience and vision behind these paintings
mm,
that he painted, right?
mm.
What other paintings do we have here?
Well, we've got one left. Um, this one is quite interesting. Compared to his other paintings of shoes, where you just generally can only see the soles of the shoes, you can actually see the entirety of one of the shoes here,
Mm.
and it's more more old, more dirty, more damaged.
So in a sense, it kind of resembles Van Gogh's shoe paintings, right?
That's right.
So it's not like shiny or polished pair of shoes neatly placed um, at the door or in front of you.
That's right.
It's more like we know that the owner of the shoes kind of like kicked it off or had a rather wretched day,
Mm-mm. Very
and
true.
then couldn't wait to just remove them and relax like the feet, right?
Mm-mm. Yes.
And
Um.
even with these paintings, it has this cartoonish style in it.
Mm, that's true. It's a little different from his usual work. More
Mm.
lines. He also unfortunately passed away the year he made this particular piece,
Mm.
and so you can kind of see things like clothing as a second skin to people. They carry a lot
Mm.
of the same memories. They carry the memories of the person who wears them, and
Mm.
in a weird way, I'm not sure if his health was particularly great at this time. I know he was not having a lot of sleep, and he would just create and barely sleep. But it kind
Mm.
of just the shoes kind of represent how he was feeling at the time.
Mm.
In a way, just like you said earlier, just like in a way, like with Van Gogh, the shoes aren't
Mm.
there as a sign of wealth. There is a sign of experience and
Mm.
tiredness. Yeah,
Yeah, like you said, clothing is like a second skin, right?
yeah.
So it's actually like it's part of a person, like it's a personality as well.
Mm,
It reflects the characters of the person,
mm,
the taste, style, and expose like what he or she does.
mm, mm. It's something I don't think about that often, but I guess that makes a lot of sense. Shoes represent a person quite a lot. Yeah.
And it actually, I think, like resembles your lifestyle, right?
That's,
If you go if you're very like outdoor and you probably wear like sports shoes or sneakers or hiking boots all the time.
mm, mm,
Whereas if you don't walk that much or you don't have to walk up and down the stairs, then you'll probably prefer high heels. I don't know.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and in winter times you wear boots.
Mm, mm.
On rainy
And
days you wear more boots. It's just yeah. So it's
mm,
in a sense these are like tools, right?
absolutely. And
Yeah, that helps every day.
mm, I suppose if they're dirty as well, it might mean that the person might be kind of a rough and tumble person, or maybe just unkempt, maybe, or something.
Mm,
Because I don't think Guston was the type of person to worry too much about appearance and the like. He
right.
he just focused on his art.
Mm.
Yeah. Um. Yes.
So what do you think of today's painting?
Well, it's actually an interesting choice. Um. There's actually there's a lot of things you can compare. Other you can compare it with other pieces of work too. Of
Like
his,
artist or
yeah. I suppose with other
like
other shoes.
do you have anyone in mind? Like apart from Van Gogh?
That's a good point. Um. To be fair, when I was researching it earlier, I did find a lot of still life images of other shoes. Um,
Mm.
very much in this similar style of Van Gogh's. So I did notice that the lighting was also very important in those. Van Gogh tried to,
Mm.
I suppose he was trying to show it in a more negative light, like this is how much my life sucks.
Mm.
But some people kind of um, they painted shoes in a way where it just showed that their life was adequate. You know, the shoes were there to just support them. You know,
Mm.
to get them from point A to point B. And I was thinking of looking up an extra image to put on this presentation,
Mm.
but maybe another time. But
Mm.
there's quite shoes are quite a somewhat common subject for some artists. But
Mm.
yeah, what did you like about these pieces of work?
Well, I think Guston's paintings are rather intense. Like, they're not exactly easy to look at, right?
Mm, mm,
It challenges one's brain rather than touches one's heart. And especially when you look at Constable's cloud painting, Monet's water lilies, or the ocean of Turner's, they take your breath away, and we are immediately in awe. Perhaps nature has a healing power, right? Because they painted nature. But even when it's been transferred into a canvas, we're still taken, by surprise. How the movements of the clouds and the wind, even though we cannot technically see the wind, but we can see, through the moving clouds, right?
that's true.
So of course there are also many Renaissance art like murals and chapels, like grand and impressive, to even Rococo, to dreamy and pastel palette, which entice you into the gilded landscape. But yeah, contemporary art is very interesting. As I said, like Guston's, these paintings are, they can be very meaningful, and I don't know, but I'm not sure if it's reflects everyone's or it's everyone's taste,
Mm,
but
mm,
they convey some very deep meanings or personal meanings, or even expression of himself, right?
mm,
So I guess at the end, it just really depends on what appeals to you.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
I've really appreciated looking at these pieces of work in the last 2 weeks. It's
Mm,
um, it's fascinating looking up um, the mindset of the artist producing these. Um,
yeah.
yeah, it's yeah, you're right. It's not for everyone's taste. It might be too cartoony for some, and yeah, and the use of mostly reds. It's I think it's like a signature, so I can kind of appreciate that. It's very
Mm,
him. And yeah, I don't know. I liked this journey of discovering his work.
mm. Well, so I hope you all enjoy it as well as much as we do.
Mm,
And if you have any comments or feedback, please leave us a message. And if you like what we do, you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel under the same name. So thank you for listening, and look forward to you joining us at the same time next week.
bye bye.